Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are the ultimate champions of pettiness, continuously making audacious yet strange moves without a care for the consequences. This compilation reveals unsettling moments where their actions have led to speculation about how they've wronged Justin and the public's reaction. To steer attention elsewhere, they decided to pull another stunt, and this time, their pettiness took them to Saturday Night Live 50, where they made sure to leave their mark.
How's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Kevin Costner, who was seated behind Ryan, wasn't impressed by Ryan's relentless mockery of Justin and Blake's drama. His expression went beyond just being disgusted by Ryan's audacity to keep the spotlight on them. Kevin also glanced at Blake, likely trying to figure out if they were both in on the pettiness, and it became clear that they had a script to follow, especially in such a setting. Blake had previously revealed that she had been sexually harassed on the set of It Ends With Us. Yet right there, Ryan continued to joke about it. Their expressions didn't seem as affected as they tried to make people believe. Ryan's plan was to play the funniest, most innovative person in the room, which he thought he had mastered. Some moments from Deadpool showed just how far Ryan would go to mock the drama between Blake and Justin, as he felt his career wasn't as vulnerable as Blake's. However, it's rumored that Ryan was making a reference to Blake here, which might explain the jealousy behind his actions.
Careful where you put your hand. She's 90% G-spot. She'll let you know it. You let this little flirt out of your sight for 1 second, she starts shopping for a new papa.
It gets even more bizarre that Ryan made his comeback at SNL of all places, where his ex-wife's husband, Colin Jost, works. In Hollywood, where Ryan could have pulled off a funny stunt anywhere, he chose a venue where Scarlett would be, further amplifying his audacity. It seemed like Ryan was deliberately giving people the chance to connect the dots, especially with the ongoing lawsuit, almost encouraging them to draw the parallels once again. It's as if Ryan is using this pettiness to distract from the shame attached to the drama. On top of that, he appeared to be taking aim at Colin, daring him to poke fun at the situation, specifically the intimacy coordinator drama, by making a passive-aggressive appearance, signaling to Colin that he's the one who gets to keep joking about it. Scarlett also attended and even performed a skit while Blake and Ryan were in the audience, creating an incredibly awkward atmosphere, with the accusation still swirling that Blake had cheated with Ryan while he was married to Scarlett. Being in the same space as her felt like an expensive display of audacity, something only Ryan and Blake could afford. In another outrageous moment, while Blake was promoting her alcoholic beverage line, Betty Buzz, she compared the model to an animal. This wasn't just petty. It was downright disrespectful and insane, adding another layer to their already chaotic public persona.
Because at Betty Buzz, we don't test on animals. We test on men. That's a good boy. Drink up.
It's clear that the advertisement posted on the official Betty Buzz page was written and approved by both Blake and Ryan, and it's undeniably petty. The way they treat the actor in the ad, calling him good boy, and starting the intro with a line about testing on men, not animals, was wild. Comparing a human to a lab rat and a dog shows just how little Blake and Ryan seem to respect the people around them, treating them like mere subjects in their experiments. Justin Baldoni is just one example of their perfected skill at hijacking films, so this behavior isn't exactly new for them. What's more embarrassing, though, is how far Blake is willing to go with her pettiness to try to appear as funny as Ryan, who's now being exposed for constantly performing and never being truly genuine. Blake even took her pettiness home to her kids, especially her son, Olan, when she marked one of her schemes by making him a special themed cake.
My birthday cakes always have a little bit of a sense of humor. For my baby, I just did a giant set of...
Interestingly, Blake seemed to acknowledge that it might have been wrong, but she was still proud of her attempt at humor with the breast-themed cake for a baby.
Which I feel like will haunt him for life. But what do they want at 1? Like, he can't declare what he wants.
Yeah.
So boom.
Then, she continued down the path of the degrading joke, and you won't believe what she said next.
I'll show you a picture after this. Oh, I need to of the cake, not of mine. Also amazing.
In that brief moment, Blake joked about her body, trying to flip the focus from the cake and making sure interviewer Zoe Ball understood that hers was just as amazing. It's pretty shocking, especially knowing she previously revealed how offended she was on set by Justin, accusing him of making inappropriate comments about her body. To then publicly say all these things without any filter seems pretty insane. While some might find the interview cute and funny, others think it highlights just how self-centered she is. From Ryan mocking Justin through the nice pool character to planting annoying Easter eggs and allegedly asking his agency to choose between Justin and them, it's no longer news how low they're willing to go. Before working with Justin, they weren't close to him, and he had never wronged them, but they still seemed thrilled to make him the scapegoat. Interestingly, Ryan confirmed how aggressive they were in crafting Nice Pool to ensure Justin was handled in Deadpool, a move that seemed aimed at impacting Justin's career.
Do I love playing Nice Pool? He's just so vicious. So nice. You know, at the time, I just wanted to clean up on his body. It's like that.
You notice how Ryan emphasized admirable qualities as if it's a terrible thing to have, which really shows that they don't seem interested in making genuine friends. Instead, they only seem to connect with people who engage in the same kind of petty or underhanded behavior as they do. It's almost as if they view those qualities as weaknesses unless they're shared with someone who's willing to play the same game.
It's like, well, I don't really have friends.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I know. Our life sucks.
Two unlikable people.
Doing something like this just exposed how Blake and Ryan treat people like pawns, and now you'll see how Blake almost did the same thing to Penn. As soon as she saw that Penn was cast in Gossip Girl, she poisoned the whole cast against him because she was upset that he got hired. Blake didn't know Penn before that, but she was more than willing to ruin his career, just as she did with Justin. It's wild how Blake seems to take pleasure in destroying people for fun. The strange reasoning could be that Blake enjoys asserting her dominance over men like Penn and Justin to the point where she ends up falling for them. The whole game is ridiculous, especially considering how she went on to date Penn after trying to destroy him during their first meeting. Many believe Blake's behavior stems from her privileged upbringing. She once proudly shared how her dad bribed a choir director to put her in charge, even though there were other talented singers in the choir.
My parents had paid the show choir director to put me in the choir because I can't sing or dance to save my life.
But you were lead in that choir, huh?
I was like,
Even as an adult, Blake still can't seem to get over how much privilege she can access. It's almost like she thrives on the power that comes with her status, constantly finding ways to use it to her advantage, whether in her career or personal life.
I wore Britney Spears' dress the other night. I saw someone with baby spice wearing my baby necklace that I've had since I was 10. Someone fed me a brownie today.
This petty mindset is one of the reasons Blake and Ryan can make just a phone call and get featured on SNL or secure anything they want, despite not being as well liked by the public anymore. In many leaked interviews from the past, we've seen Blake openly explain how she strategically hijacks movies, pretending to be there to act until she's in, at which point she starts taking control. In another interview, Blake revealed how she did this when she planned to work with Reed Morano to direct a film she had written the script for. However, during the meeting, Reed started discussing another script she was passionate about. Blake then investigated the details of this script and figured out how to insert herself into it, even going as far as being willing to abandon her own project to join another one.
To do another movie instead, and we instead spent the entire night talking about this called The Rhythm Section. She wasn't hired as the director. I had never even heard of it. We both left the meeting wanting to make The Rhythm Section instead, but the problem was we had no idea who either one of us.
This story is so petty once you realize Blake convinced Reed to get the film's producer, Barbara Broccoli, to hire them because Blake is more interested in when an idea is being sold to her than actually writing her own original material.
And I became obsessed with finding this script, and I tracked it down. And she didn't tell me the name of the script. She didn't tell me it was called The Rhythm Section. She just described the story. She described the character. She said it was the producers of Bond, and I knew that that meant Barbara Broccoli.
Blake revealed that she was obsessed with finding the right story because she had heard Barbara had great taste and made good movies. She even convinced Reed to leave the project she was working on so that they could both work on Barbara's film, The Rhythm Section.
Called Reed and I was like, listen, I know you're doing another movie and I'm supposed to be doing another movie. Let's be honest, neither one of us want to be in those relationships, so let's do this movie instead.
Eventually, Blake got what she wanted and was so proud of herself for pulling off the little scheme. It was clear she saw it as a win, securing the opportunity in a way that showcased her persistence and manipulation.
And we just sort of begged her to hire us both. She didn't have anybody attached to the movie, and now she would have two, like lucky her. And she fell for it, which is incredible.
Blake says Barbara fell for her perfect plan to slip into the production, further showing how Blake sees these activities as thrilling games. For someone who once revealed she doesn't like being told no, it must have been fantastic to have everything go her way every time. Unfortunately, the rhythm section did poorly, ranking just 28% on Rotten Tomatoes for a widely released film across 3,549 theaters. The movie only made $2.8 million in its first 3 days after spending $50 million on its budget, leaving the producers very disappointed. Paramount lost about $30 million, making it the lowest opening ever for a major release. Just as Blake's pettiness nearly ruined Justin's career after he hired her for It Ends With Us, many people believe Blake had a negative impact on the production of the rhythm section, potentially contributing to its failure. Another moment where Blake was passive-aggressive occurred during an interview, where she didn't appreciate being congratulated for her pregnancy.
And you have a baby on the way. Congratulations.
What makes you say that?
The shark told me.
No, you don't ever say that to a woman.
Blake could have simply said thank you and moved on, but she enjoys playing with people until they think they've said the most awful thing, when in reality, she's the one doing that. This is similar to her resurfaced viral interview, where she congratulated the host on her bump, only to turn around and say something completely different to another interviewer. It really shows how petty Blake can be, depending on who she's dealing with.
You can have my fourth child for me. She's the surrogate mother for me.
In Deadpool, Ryan wasn't just being petty and mocking Justin, he also took a jab at Hugh Jackman's character, Wolverine, saying he's usually shirtless but has let himself go since the divorce. The thing is, Wolverine has never been through a divorce in the films, making it clear that Ryan was referring to the real-life divorce between Hugh and his ex-wife, Deborah Lee Furness. It's also insane how Blake and Ryan were aware of the other woman Hugh was seeing, yet they hid it from his wife and pretended to care about her feelings, knowing full well they didn't. In the blazing lawsuit, Blake took her pettiness even lower by initially asking Justin's lawyer to be gagged by the court, keeping further evidence hidden from the public. She even sought 2.5 years' worth of phone records from Justin Baldoni, going further than when their issues first started, all in an attempt to prove a point, even though she had failed at many others before.